We are live on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Sup, YouTube?
And we will be starting this biatch in. See, so it just, we'll pretend that sound that we hear from your microphone tonight, Chaz, is a lovely creek flowing behind you. That's
Yes,
what we'll do. All right.
just
right.
outside my window.
Yeah, how close are you to that microphone? Because you sound really, really close.
It's like right here.
So not very close.
No.
Huh. All right, we'll have to play with it more. But it does sound better than your headphones did. That's for sure. All right, let's start this bitch. If you guys
let's start this.
go ahead and mute yourselves. Robinson, you don't need to mute yourself. As long as you're not going to get any text messages that are going to screw up our bumper music, you don't have to mute yourself this week because I don't want you to forget to unmute yourself again.
I will just turn the volume off on my bleep bleep.
All right.
Okay, start the bumper music. I'm going to go get a beer, and I'm going to not miss my line.
I hope not. All right. The recording has started. How do I know? Because now I hear a goddamn echo of myself in my ears. All right, bumper music. 3, 2. Oh, Jesus, Robinson. Can we start it over? We're going to start it over. Did you have to hit your microphone stand with your face or something? All right, we're starting it over. We're doing it again. I'm talking to you, Robinson.
Me? Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
you. All right.
Sorry.
All right, we're going to do it again. YouTube, this is why we call this the behind the scenes of the Sober Happy Hour, because you get to watch all the fun stuff. All right, Robinson, just pretend that you're a mouse. Here we go. Shh.
Okay.
3, 2. Welcome to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am your host. I am here tonight on YouTube, streaming live over the internet with my good friends, Chaz and Robinson. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
All right, we did it right this time, boys. I like it. It only took a
Good.
month to get it right.
I know, we missed quite a few. Okay.
Woo! Did your
Retard.
microphone just fart? That was weird. That sounded like a farting microphone. All right. We are. I kid you not. That's what it sounded like. We're gonna play it back at some point in the future, and you're gonna go, "Oh,
I moved
totally farted."
I moved the
okay.
microphone boom. That was
Yeah, that was probably what it was. All right. Well, we've had the week off, and we may be a little bit rusty, but this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast coming to you live on YouTube right now, Radio Valencia later, and we're super glad to be back because we had a week off last week. So, how are you guys doing?
Pretty damn good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I went out last night. I don't go out very often, but my housemate told me that he really wanted to go out, and he was really excited about it, and I decided that I would just go with him, and I had a good time.
I'm glad. I have been fighting off the flu for the last 5 days, and so I'm here with my trusty pumpkin tea, Halloween flavored tea. It's not pumpkin tea. That's not what I meant. It's a pumpkin mug with Snoopy. So the great what's the Snoopy Charlie
The
Brown
Great Pumpkin.
and the Great Pumpkin, right?
Yeah.
All right. And so we have Woodstock and Snoopy and the Great Pumpkin and then I have this fancy little contraption that Rachel got for me where I like loose leaf tea, but loose leaf tea can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to make sometimes. So she got these little men, and I'll show it to you on YouTube here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a little man with perforated pants, and and here's the thing though, you detach the pants, you put your tea in the pants, and then You
That's
reattach
cute.
the man, and the
So he's-
man uses his arms to dangle off the edge of the mug.
So it's like he's in a hot tub.
Exactly, and then the tea steeps, and it looks cute. And now I have
And
a
if
fresh.
there was really a man in a hot tub with brown liquid coming out of his pants, everyone would leave the hot tub.
This is true, but that is what the chlorine's for, Robinson.
Yeah.
That's what they tell me, at least. Well, actually, that's what I tell myself to excuse myself from urinating in public pools. And any man that tells you that they do not urinate in public pools is, number one, a liar,
Yes.
and number two, a fucking liar, because
Well,
they do.
It's the most natural response. When you get in warm water, you have to pee.
Very true. Very true.
So
Which is why the gag,
Yeah.
the old gag, where your friend's asleep and you place his hand in a bowl of warm water and then he pisses himself.
yes.
Right. That's why that works.
Yeah, but as far as lying about it goes, it's like masturbation. 95% of all men admit to masturbating, and the other 5% are liars.
Exactly. So, I want to apologize if I have any weird mouth sounds going on this evening. I have a lozenge in my throat to try and keep my voice alive for the next 2 hours. You probably noticed the voice is a little in a lower register than it normally is. That's not me trying to be sexy. That is me not having a 100% voice right now. So although it may be sexy,
It is very sexy.
and much more radio appropriate,
You should record a Barry White album right now.
I was thinking that would be, I could sell a couple copies. So I was talking with someone today, we'll refer to him as a friend of ours. All right, he's a friend of mine. He's a friend of ours. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to him today to see when we can make this shit happen. Get this person on the radio show. And
Oh, you don't want to mention his name?
not well. I kind of want. I like the suspense.
Oh, you want to do a build up? Oh, okay.
Right, we'll build it up. And
Wow.
so I was talking to him, and we determined that it's probably not going to fit into his busy schedule to join us on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Simply,
And why is that?
well, because he's a world-famous rock star. And
Yes, and he's always
usually-
playing shows on a Saturday night somewhere.
rock and roll stars play shows on Saturday nights, which is probably why subconsciously we decided to do this show on Saturday nights, because I wish I were a rock star. So
Well,
It-
you are now, baby.
it gives me an excuse to say, oh, sorry, can't hang out, guys. Got a gig Saturday nights. It's a consistent thing. It happens every Saturday night. 10 o'clock, we're the closer. So we tentatively have our first celebrity interview on the Sober Happy Hour scheduled for a date in the very near future. And
Yes.
so what we're going to have to do, though, we're going to have to be a little bit creative, because in order to play the interview live for our listeners, both our viewers on YouTube, our listeners on Radio Valencia, and then the podcast listener, it's going to require that we do our regular live show and then essentially add in the interview. So we'll have to work out the details. It might require a little bit of brain power to get it right, because I don't think that number one, I don't think that he's going to join us for the full 2 hours. That might be a little bit much. Maybe if he loves it, has a great time, wants to do it again in the future, maybe we can get him on for the full 2 hours. But I think for this first time, it might be a shorter segment, more like an interview, and then so we'll have to kind of splice that into the middle of the show. So we're working on that. It's very exciting. We will be announcing who this very, very special guest is at the end of the show tonight. And
But we need to give out a few clues.
Okay.
Like, well, for instance, the first band that he was in that people would know would be Christian Death, which is, I believe, the first or original real Gothic band.
Well, and I think, Robinson, that even the topic that we're going to talk about tonight may drop a hint when it comes to where this person fits into the sort of Orange County, California punk rock scene. Because that Orange County punk rock scene did breed the Orange County hardcore scene that evolved into the Orange County hardcore straight edge scene. So it's almost fair to say that our celebrity guest will probably had a lot to do with people in that straight edge, that hardcore straight edge scene. So, Chaz, I don't know how you joined the Hangout twice, but
yes, I did.
You are now on the Hangout twice.
Well, the reason being is that I could barely see you on my phone, which is like way over there. And so now I can see you. I just downloaded it onto my desktop there.
Oh, so you're using your computer to watch us,
but
using your phone to broadcast.
That is correct.
Wow, that's like Back to the Future shit, bro.
That's like DP.
That is. It's a lot.
Right.
Like that.
Yep. I am here. I am in this bitch twice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fill up 2 holes right there. Okay. Woo! Thank you. I feel much better.
That's what
Sexy
she said.
voice and a DP. What?
Well, so we already gave away the topic for the evening. And I think we can kind of split it up because I've been getting some requests from some longtime listeners that with all of the drama that went on very publicly and very recently with celebrity addict Lamar Odom, who ended up in the hospital in a coma after what friends and family are referring to as a drug-related incident. People were reaching out saying, hey, you should do another celebrity addiction episode, and I'm happy to oblige. So I have a handful of celebrity stories that I want to make sure that we get to towards the end of the evening, but I also want to talk about the straight edge scene. And
so
Robinson,
it's a dual topic then.
Yeah,
yes?
two topics. And what's funny is I grew up in Orange County. I hung out with the straight edge kids, but at the time, that was many years ago, they were just referred to as straight edge. You know, that you were straight edge. You wore X's on your hands, or if you were old enough, you got straight edge tattoos, and most of them listened to metal, old school punk rock, that kind of stuff. A lot of that screamy, shouty, hardcore metal. But now I'm so disconnected from that scene and those people. I'm not even sure, is there still an active straight edge scene in Orange County? And
or anywhere.
Right. And did that straight edge scene ever grow beyond Orange County. There you go. Say
there we
something
go.
so you get full screen, Robinson.
I got full screen.
You weren't full screen.
I'm showing off my. Oh yeah. Back in the day, this is what I would see a lot. Orange County straight edge symbol on the backs of people's hands, because I had a club. I actually had a couple of underground clubs, and I promoted straight edge bands because it was way easier. And dealing with alcohol, yeah, it's profitable, but it's a pain in the ass, and it leads to trouble. So I was really happy to promote the straight edge bands. And I had no problems filling a house.
Yeah.
Even though it was just like an empty warehouse that I'd throw a band in. They would rehearse during the week, and I even rented a bar. I went and rented a bar that had been closed down because there had been 3 murders in a row in the course of a year. 3 murders. It was a Mexican bar, and it was just, they get really drunk and violent. So they lost their license, and this bar sat empty, and I came along after having had to shut down the art gallery that I was trying to run, because that turned into a nightmare. But I found this bar, and I talked to the owner about opening it up with no alcohol, and he was all for it. And he just gave me the keys and didn't charge me much money. And I put a stage in it and had served sodas and food, and there were pool tables, and I took the coin op mechanisms out of the pool tables and just said, hey, free pool. And that alone drew a lot of people. But this became a very popular bar, club, straight edge, and gothic club as well in Orange County for a couple of years. And it's just so much easier to deal with.
Well,
straight edge, I don't know if it's still happening there in Orange County, but
well, and that's the thing is, when I was in high school, being straight edge wasn't seen as weird. It wasn't seen as somebody. You weren't on the outskirts of society necessarily. You weren't going to be ridiculed by anyone. Even the jocks and the cheerleaders, they kind of seemed to understand and almost respect the kids that were making the choice to be drug-free, alcohol-free, cigarette-free, and
sometimes abstinence from sex as well.
Sex-free, right?
Without calling themselves a Christian.
Right. So
it's
instead
like all
of
the
having
great
to
Christian
be
morals without the bullshit of the Christian fantasy.
Right. So instead of having to be religious and choosing these things, it was more, this is my lifestyle. I want to keep myself clean, my body clean. I don't want to alter my state of being with drugs and alcohol. And I don't want to end up with an STD or some life-ending disease from having promiscuous sex. But so they weren't treated like bad guys. I did see when I kind of graduated high school and got a little bit older, that's when the sort of militant straight edge kids started to come up, right? And they were the ones that, instead of just making the choice for themselves to be drug-free and straight edge, they were now picking fights with people who were getting drunk.
Right. They were preaching and proselytizing about it as if it were a religion and that everybody needed to join.
Right.
Taking away the free choice option.
And what I always loved about it was that it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
That it was a choice, and what was so cool about it, it was very inclusive, because there were the sort of dorky kids that weren't interested in the partying and the drugs and the alcohol anyway, who then found that they had this whole group of people in these straight edge kids that would accept them for those morals and those values instead of being
Yes.
pushed away, and it was beautiful.
I think it became a lot more of that in the way that kids who didn't have access to drugs or alcohol or were maybe afraid of it, they could hang out with the cool kids by wearing that badge.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But then there was this other group called the Sharps.
okay.
You familiar with them?
No, not at all.
It
Oh,
stands for
they're-
something, doesn't it? Skidheads.
It's skinheads
Yeah.
against racial prejudice.
Yeah.
An oxymoron.
And a Nazi moron.
A Nazi moron. I like it.
Dude, that was
Excuse me
badass.
while I eject some business from my nose.
Okay, so yeah, these these skins sharps would dress up just like the skinhead guys with the rolled up Levi's and the red bandanas and the shaved heads and they were just
Doc Martens. Doc Martens.
Doc Martens, and they were all if you saw them coming down the street.
Suspenders and shit.
Yeah, you would just like if you were of any race, you didn't know they were sharps. You would just run. But,
Or beat their ass.
Well, because you assumed that they
Yeah.
were
yeah, they just looked like a
Skinheads.
gang. Yeah.
Right. Right. And no, I wasn't familiar with that group. Maybe.
Yeah, it was a popular thing in Orange County, and
Huh.
some of the bands that came through were sharps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't do any research about this particular topic before tonight.
Good.
So I don't have a lot of origin stories or anything regarding the straight edge movement and kind of where it began, when it began, or anything like that. But when did you, Robinson, because you were you would have already been an adult and been an established, member of society when this first started popping up. When and where did you sort of see it start to happen?
I think in the late 80s, when I had come back from Germany, and I was basically straight edge all my life, but there was no name or group for it. I just never was interested in polluting my body with drugs or alcohol. Yes, I would occasionally go and have a beer. When I lived in Germany, I actually learned that I could drink beer, and it was, I have to. Well, the beer in Germany is just completely different than anything we drink here. It's actually more of a nutrient than anything else. But I've never liked the sensation of being drunk, so I would have a beer an hour, and like after an hour, I'd have a second beer. But never wanted to do any kind of drugs. Never had any curiosity about it or anything. So when I first heard of this term, I was just like, yes, this is great. And it wasn't just a group, it was bands. They were straight edge bands. And it really motivated me into doing shows, putting events together for these groups, because if I see somebody's doing something good, I want to do what I can to help promote them and help them just like move forward in their lives. And that's just what I love to do. I see somebody doing positive things, I give them a hand. So I rented a warehouse. I started promoting, or actually letting them promote themselves. I just gave them the space. Nobody ever made any money. It's like I made barely enough money to pay some of the rent, and they made enough money to pay for their gas and and maybe a new set of strings for their bass or whatever. But they were out there and they were doing it, and it was fun, and it was my social life, really.
So I considered myself part of this straight edge group when I was in high school because I wasn't interested in drugs, alcohol, stayed away from it. And yes, for those that are longtime listeners of this show know what happened later in my life. which could, I know, for some people, make that a somewhat humorous um, juxtaposition, if you will. Uh, but for most of my life, I made a decision based on, looking back. I'm not sure that it was anything more than just. I think you hit it on the head a minute ago, Robinson. I think I was afraid of drugs and alcohol. I think there was this just inherent fear that I didn't know what it would do to me, and I was afraid that it would do something irreparably bad that I wouldn't be able to take back. So I stayed away from it, and I stayed away from it very religiously. And the where I think I started to feel a disconnect from the straight edge scene. Number one, it was never my style of music, right? The hardcore music. I've never been into hardcore music. I've been to many hundreds of hardcore shows because of friends and acquaintances and bands that I've played with, but I was never a fan of hardcore music, and still am not to this day. A good friend of mine, Ryan, um, played bass in a pop punk band that we started in high school, and that punk band didn't really go anywhere, and he then joined a very successful hardcore band, um, and they just recently, I think, decided to take an indefinite hiatus. Uh, but they were a hardcore straight edge band from Orange County, and he toured all over the world with that band for, I think, the better part of 10 or 12 years, and made his living doing that. So, good for him. But when they started getting into like the veganism and the abstinence side of things, and even when they started to go as far as to, not using caffeine or even prescription drugs that their doctors would try to give them, then it started to take on this very militant lifestyle, this very religious type of feeling. It felt more like this, you see somebody with the lowercase x or s, the uppercase X and the lowercase e somewhere on their person, tattoo or a patch or a sticker on their car, and you kind of knew you were going to be dealing with this weirdo who was going to start preaching to you about why you shouldn't be eating meat or dairy products. And I don't know how hardcore music turned into not eating animals. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it became really extreme.
Yeah.
Vegans and yeah.
It's just like totally purely reactionary stuff, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's everyone who wanted to have a place to fit in but didn't want to go and join the crowd
I,
as far as who was doing, drugs and stuff.
I think it was also having a cause to believe in, and this was a good
Yeah.
cause. It made you the cool guy to be able to say that you're, believing in this cause. Nobody's going to fight you. I mean, nobody's going to reject you for your cause. They're going to respect you. They might disagree with some of your points, but they'll still respect you for having this cause. And it became a cool thing.
So there is some interesting information that I was able to look up while we've been talking here, and it turns out that you were dead on, Robinson, that it was basically the mid 1980s. The hardcore punk scene saw the introduction of these straight edge types that were abstaining from intoxicants, living drug free or poison free. I remember my buddy Ryan having poison free tattooed across his chest. And uh, they, what I found interesting here was that somebody that has done a lot of research and paid close attention to the straight edge scene over the last 30 or so years says that the straight edge culture has gone through three distinct eras. And we were just talking about one of them being the militant era, where they were very aggressive about their beliefs. It really kind of took over the influence even of the music that was being written at that time. You know, basically wishing ill will towards people that chose to partake in a lifestyle that they didn't agree with. Uh, and that then became, I guess, melded into this second era that they're referring to as the bent edge. The bent edge era, where they started to become a little bit more inclusive. Uh, they You would see both straight edge and non-straight edge people at hardcore straight edge shows, and then even more so to the furthest extreme, where you used to go to a straight edge show and they would sell nothing but caffeine-free soda or water, to all the way over now where you see hardcore straight edge bands performing at the House of Blues, where they obviously sell, booze and beer and wine and liquor. And that's sort of seen that ebb and flow of the straight edge scene, where it became pretty mainstream for a while. Bands like Throwdown. I can't think of any others.
Was it
So
some others?
essentially, they were assimilated into the rest of the music industry.
Yes. That's exactly it. I mean, they evolved into that because it's kind of like if you're a vegan and you go to an all meat buffet, you can't eat anything. But if you're a carnivore or an omnivore and you go to an all vegan buffet, yeah, you can enjoy that. So that stuff is going to get eaten up and the meat will sit empty in a show, well, not a show, but at a buffet where you've got a mixed crowd. So anybody can enjoy good music. You don't have to be straight edge to enjoy straight edge music. You don't have to be a vegan to enjoy vegetables.
Sure.
So yeah, it has to evolve. And being a straight edge band is, well, first you're a band, okay?
Right.
You're in a band because you want to play music. If all of your music is all about being straight edge, then yeah, you might have some different principles about where you play. Not wanting to play at places that promote drugs and alcohol. So that's understandable. But if you're just a band, you got songs, you want to play them, and you're straight edge, of course you're going to play at the House of Blues.
Right. Well, and you would even see, so my buddy's band, and I didn't mention it before, but he played, like I said, for about 15 years in a band called Bleeding Through, and I mean they played on the Ozfest for many, many years, and Ozzy Osbourne, not straight edge,
no,
and you would have the
Couldn't
most
tell.
obnoxiously intoxicated people at these big festivals, and I remember the band being really, really upset by the belligerent drunk people picking fights and beating people up during the mosh pits during their sets, because that was very foreign to them. They were a very famous straight edge band, and so their fans tended to also be straight edge. And when they get onto these big world tours, they're now playing for people that are drinking or using or whatever, and they weren't used to it, and it was very strange to them. And they went through a couple different members in the band, because if you were going to be in the band, you had to be straight edge. And if they found you drinking or using drugs or whatever, you would be kicked out of the band. And there was some controversy during his time with that band, where there was apparently some drinking tended to be the bigger sin, I think, because they weren't just going to go out and start using hardcore drugs, but the drinking, as you got older and into your mid-20s, now all of a sudden your thought process might change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And do we really have to not drink a beer to continue to write, record, and perform this music? Does that really still make sense? And then there was some controversy that I used to hear about where, oh yeah, they're just a bullshit hardcore band, and they're not still straight edge anymore. They just put on a front and they're faking it. And in their private lives, they drink and they just put on a show.
That's why we draw a line between drug use and drug abuse.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You can drink and enjoy a beer, but you can also drink and get drunk.
Sure.
You'll never see me sitting in a bar doing shots, because I think the point of shots are just to get shit-faced. There's nothing good tasting about whiskey or vodka. It just tastes like ass. It's like drinking astringent or something, but
Yeah.
it burns your throat and it tastes like shit. So drinking to enjoy the flavor of a good beer, yes. Stopping when you feel a buzz, yes. Getting stupid and reckless, no. That's just not being responsible. And
I gotta admit, I like getting drunk.
Sure. And
I mean, really, I do. And so, I mean, but my views on alcohol use, again, I come from a family where it is a little difficult. And some of our family members do struggle with it. But it's never been something I've really, had to wrestle with in my life.
Well, it's not, like I said, it's just, a drink. You're getting drunk. Even if you're
Exactly.
getting drunk, if it's not a habit or, a necessity in your life, then
If
sure.
it's not tearing you down.
Last night, when I went out, I got high.
and I still love you, Robinson.
I had a half a gram of mushrooms.
Whoa.
Which most people take about an eighth of an ounce at a time.
Holy shit.
You
You had half a gram?
high. I had a half a gram.
Okay.
Which did not alter my ability to think straight. It just kind of gave me this kind of nice little focus on the music and the body high, and I was able to just kind of enjoy dancing and a little bit more than normal, and it was just great. It was fun.
Which I think now it all makes sense because your text messages had a lot of extra punctuation last night.
Last night?
Yeah. You don't even.
I saw
remember
something
texting
also
me
where
last
you're like,
night,
I'm
huh?
high on this, and it looked like I think
It
you
was a
texted us a
mushroom.
mushroom.
It was a mushroom.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you said you're getting high on Mario Brothers or something.
That's what I said.
Was that you, Mike?
That was your response. Yeah.
Because it would look like Toad from Mario Brothers.
That's right.
So-
Mario Brothers Toad.
All right. So we know the straight edge scene started late 70s, early 80s, became mainstream, and the height of its popularity was in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And then by the 2000s, the beginning of the 2000s, it just almost completely dried up. By the beginning of the 2000s, only a small groups of militant straight edge individuals remained. Contrary to news reports that portrayed straight edge as a gang, several studies have shown that straight edge individuals as a whole are mostly peaceful people, and in the 2000s, there was a growing amount of tolerance of people who did not follow the straight edge lifestyle by straight edge individuals. So, in this incarnation, this third era of straight edge, the musical styles of the bands, they evolved more. They varied, ranging from youth crew revival style to metalcore to poison core. Straight edge bands from the 2000s were Champion, Down to Nothing, Embrace Today, Have Heart, and still Throwdown. They've kind of stuck it out through the whole damn thing and remained straight edge throughout all 20 years of the movement as it existed. And what's funny is you still hear reference to the idea of straight edge today, but because I'm not in high school, I just don't know how prevalent it still is.
Yeah, I think this high school kids and college kids are aware of it because it was such a big thing that it's going to linger for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, there was one band, very popular band, called Outspoken.
Okay.
And I remember they were all in like started in high school together, and I watched them go. They played at my place a few times, and then as soon as they turned 21, they all started drinking because they could buy alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
and that drinking led to, oh, this is kind of fun. They started smoking weed, and they still kept playing, and they still had the same crowd, even though their crowd was also kind of becoming more open to relaxing intoxicants without getting addicted to them, just enjoying them. But their new name became Outsmoken
Get out of here.
by their crowd. They didn't call themselves that, but they're
Got it.
sarcastically their fans called them Outsmoken instead of Outspoken.
Yeah, because they were posers at that point. They were sellouts. That was the big term, right? If you were going to slam someone, you would call them a sellout. And my good friend Jeff was, I mean, hardcore straight edge, was at the straight edge shows every weekend, had a straight edge tattoo across the ankle of his left foot, straight edge for life. And I got my straight edge tattoos with him. Boom.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Right there. And now, years and years later, he definitely stuck it out in that scene a lot longer than I did. But
This was the guitarist.
no, this was
Jimmy
Jeff.
Rig? No, oh Jeff.
Jeff.
Patch.
Yes. And
Yes. How is that guy?
he's
What's
fantastic.
up with him? Oh, anyway,
He's
we'll talk later.
oh, he's really good. But I mean, he drinks now. He is no
Yeah.
longer straight edge, but he definitely doesn't
But
go out and get shit faced.
he's smart about it.
Right. And I think that tends to be that human evolution of things. But I think if we want to we can talk about the negatives in a moment, but if we want to talk about some of the positives, I think if you look at the guys that stuck to that straight edge lifestyle for a handful of years beyond their high school days, they may have prevented really bad decisions in their lives that could have led to arrests and DUIs and worse. And so I think by Jeff choosing to stay a part of that straight edge scene until his mid to late 20s, he was able to become more responsible, be a contributing member of society with goals and career ambition and life experiences that he didn't ever have to go through some of the crazy negative shit that kids who start drinking when they're 15 or 16 years old often have to deal with.
Right. And I think it has a lot to do with your environment and the things you see around you and how you react to them. If your life is really, really tough and everyone around you has a really tough life and everyone around you is drinking to cope with their tough life, then you're probably going to drink to cope with your tough life.
Yeah.
I think the reason that the straight edge scene evolved out of Orange County and I believe New Jersey,
DC as well.
DC, because there's DC is like the east coast of Orange County. There's just like a lot of rich kids, and
Huh.
they are raised to be a little bit smarter.
Would it be fair to say that DC also has a very blurred border with some really bad parts of town as well, just like Orange County? You're right on the border of Long Beach and
Yeah,
Los Angeles and Westminster and some of
Riverside.
the Riverside and some of those areas that are high crime, low income, poverty stricken, lots of drugs, that kind of shit. And I think the same thing goes for DC. You have your well-to-do white, upper middle class uh, political types and their kids right on the border with urban society. I mean, Baltimore, Maryland is a stone's throw from Washington D.C. and there were certain neighborhoods in D.C. in the 80s and 90s that if you were alone and white, you did not want to walk through by yourself. They were scary, high crime neighborhoods. And
Hmm.
when you take curious young white kids that have all the privilege and all the money in the world, and you put them right next door to drugs, alcohol, crime, sex, seedy nightclubs, guess where they're going to go when their parents aren't looking? So I think the straight edge scene might have almost blossomed out of this desire of some of the kids with good heads on their shoulders to not want to go down that dark path. And I think there's a lot of positive where it came from. I think it came from a very positive place. Uh, I think it got hijacked by those militant types wanting to make a movement into a an intolerant religion almost. And I think whenever something gets hijacked like that, some of the positive attributes can get lost.
I wonder what would have become of straight edge if it hadn't gone so extreme. If
Yeah.
it would have, if it could have gained some kind of national sponsorship and been promoted as like a positive thing that like the cancer awareness became a big movement, and it's a good thing and it didn't get militant and it just became a thing that people are positive about and did good things for.
Well,
Straight edge could
Or it
have been
might have
like
become a
that.
cult or something, pretty
well,
much.
but it could have also turned into like the feminist movement, right? There's a lot of negative connotation to the feminist uprising, right? Or uh, whenever you take a good idea and that good idea starts to implement a bunch of rules and policies and they start almost idolizing certain individuals, and in this case it was artists, right? Like band members or singers from bands who would write lyrics to songs that would tell them how to live their life. um, I think the whole vegan vegetarian side of the straight edge scene was the result of a straight edge band writing a very popular song that was just totally anti eating meat and killing animals for food. And then from there, and the popularity of that band in that scene, that the whole scene started thinking about that because this one popular band is telling them that meat is murder and you shouldn't eat meat. And if you're really trying to live a poison free lifestyle, then you shouldn't be eating meat that is being pumped full of all of these antibiotics and poisons. So if you're going to be straight edge, now you got to be vegan. I don't know. I wish that I would have known ahead of time that we were going to do this particular show, because I think Jeff Patch would have been a great guest to have on to talk about it.
Call him up.
So, well, that's a long shot at this point.
Where is he?
Fuck if I know. All right. I can slowly feel my voice starting to disappear.
Well, Chaz is awfully quiet in there. I've been trying to do my share of taking over
And I appreciate
as
that.
much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, really, I've been trying to wait until Mike was talking about it just a second ago, getting into the negative connotations of this kind of thing.
I would love to hear it.
And, oh yeah, I mean, I think that extremism in any kind of way is sort of a precursor to all sorts of other things. Like you're saying, where would it have gone today if it hadn't have lost that momentum and assimilated into the rest of society? It could have gone really wrong. It could have gone into some kind of cult or militia or something like that. Usually the hardcore militant types, when they do this, typically it's in reaction to something. And I think, Mike, you were right. You're right about how, these kids being on the perimeter of all this drugs and crime and everything else, they feel the need for an identity, and this is the way they can make it for themselves. And nevertheless, though, it still is reactionary to their environment, which is never really healthy. So,
but it's kind of like it's a whatever it is, whether it's feminism or straight edge or whatever the case, it's you have this group of people that are saying, hey, let's do the right thing. Let's think. Let's make better choices. Like a great example is two sides of one coin. We have anti-abortion and we have pro-choice. There is no such thing as an there's no such thing as a pro-abortion. There's no pro-abortion.
Well, it's pro-life. It's pro-life and
pro-choice.
But Robinson's point is
pro-choice is it's the woman's right to do.
Right. The people who are pro-choice are not saying they want people to have abortions
or not have abortions.
It is the woman's right to make that decision one way or the other.
And not some religious group or Republican group or whatever.
Congress, right? It's nobody else's business. But and that's what's funny is about
the movement calls themselves that.
Well, and the same for the straight edge people, right? So if I'm anti-drugs and I am indifferent about drugs, and I'm pro-choice, right? If you want to use drugs, use drugs. Just be smart about it. If you don't want to use drugs, good for you, right? I'm pro-choice. The argument that Robinson's making is just because I think you have the right to make that choice doesn't mean that I'm pro-drug use. I'm not asking people to go out and have an abortion because I think that babies should die, right? That people shouldn't have children. So whenever the other side tries to market it that way and says the pro-abortion people, like that's just horseshit. It's disingenuous because the people who are pro-choice are not pro-abortion. That's ridiculous.
No, it's not that. It's that what reactionary means is that you have created your identity in opposition to something else. In other words, it's not based on anything. That's why the quote anti-abortion is saying pro-life.
Right.
They have to be for something, not just against something else.
They had to change what they had to alter their words for the sake of getting positive publicity.
Right.
When you have a negative word in the name of your belief, then you're going to get negative. It's like KFC. KFC had to change their name from Kentucky Fried Chicken because fried became a negative word. When the health food industry decided that anything fried was unhealthy for you, they just called it KFC. Just take the name fried out. And it's like, okay, everything's fine now. That negative word is gone. Sales went up.
And same goes
Oh, yeah,
for...
pro-life does not mean
So
pro-choice. I mean, it's,
same goes for high fructose corn syrup, right? Very negative connotation to high fructose corn syrup. So now the corn manufacturers, the corn growers, are lobbying Congress to get to change the name from high fructose corn syrup to corn sugar, because sugar no longer has the negative connotation that it used to. Now you see it smeared all over labels for beverages made with real cane sugar. Oh, the real sugar is good for me. The corn syrup's bad for me. So the corn guys want to call it corn sugar to make you, the stupid public, feel like you are getting something different.
made with real corn sugar.
Right.
Sounds positive, yeah.
Same kind of shit. So, what do you think happened to the straight edge movement?
Well,
They grew up.
I think the same thing happened with Outspoken. They just kind of reached a point where they could buy alcohol, and they did it. I think most of the people, I think a good majority of the people that weren't really into the straight edge movement have probably never had a problem with addiction, and if they did, they were able to get out of it, like yourself.
Well, and I don't consider myself straight edge now.
Well, I
Even
consider
though-
you straight edge by choice,
Well,
by the fact that it is you are straight edge. You
Well,
are straight edge to me.
and I don't use drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke cigarettes. So technically, I would probably fit into that category, but I wouldn't call myself straight edge anymore, because that fitting into that subculture is not of any interest to me anymore.
Okay.
At the time, it certainly was. It was a part of who I was. It was my group of friends. It was the lifestyle. So I find it humorous when I've seen like celebrities who have gotten over an addiction publicly call themselves straight edge. And I find it funny because I think straight edge really truly does and always did have more to do with the scene and the music and the lifestyle than it really ever did with not partaking in drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, there was definitely a scene.
It was, and I think that's why it went away.
I'm sure there are still beatniks around,
Absolutely.
but and it was a good movement, or there was just anything like the Beat Generation. Punk rock was a movement. It used to be a political movement. Now it's a fashion statement.
Yep, totally.
But
So-
yeah.
Well, what
Let's
else
take a
is there
break.
to? Yeah, like, what else is there to say about straight edge?
I think we've covered it. We've got an hour into the show. Let's take a quick break and see if we can get someone to call in about rock star addiction or whatever we're going to talk about next. Rock
Well,
stars.
It was more. I was gonna say something, and
Oh,
I kind of remembered the addiction to celebrity. Was that what I was thinking about earlier? Where no, okay. Before we go to break,
okay.
I watched the film Everest, the new movie about the 1996 group of Everest climbers. Most of them died. Spoiler alert. Based on a true story. And while I was watching this film, I was thinking to myself, these people have spent, in 1996 dollars, $65,000 for a month-long journey to try to summit Everest. So they have a guide. It's a small group, 65 grand a piece to get taken up the hill. And they put their lives in danger on purpose. They are miserable and in pain. They can't breathe. They can't move. They're freezing. All to be one of the small handful of people in the world that get to say they stood at the highest point on the face of the planet. And they lost their lives over this. I mean, many dozens of people have lost their lives trying to climb to the top of Mount Everest. So while I was watching, I thought about it, and I was thinking about it from an addiction perspective. Are these people, these extreme mountain climbers, are they addicted to it? To literally get to the point where this one dude knew, in the movie, true story, knew that if he spent the 1,000 extra feet that he needed to climb, which isn't really that much, the 1,000 extra feet to get to the very tippy top and touch the top of the mountain, he knew that he was going to not get back down. He would die. But just to reach the top of that mountain was enough for him to make the choice to essentially end his own life. To me, that screams addiction.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
It's inconsiderate. Then you're just gonna have a corpse up there forever unless someone goes up and gets it. God.
Oh, and they don't go up and get them. There are many, many corpses up there.
Really?
Oh yeah, they can't go up and get them. Nobody can expend the energy to carry a human body back down the mountain.
Well, there's this new invention called
That's
a
so
helicopter.
morbid.
They can't get the helicopters up there at
Their air's too
36,000
thin,
feet.
man.
There's not enough air up there.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Yeah.
that shit doesn't fly. That's creepy.
There are dead
And
bodies.
not only are they corpses, but they're preserved.
Yeah.
Because-
There are dead bodies on that mountain that are used by other hikers as milestones, as signposts. Oh, when you get to the dead Canadian, you're 1,000 feet west and you're to the next base camp.
Wow.
It's true.
Wow.
I know it sounds silly, but it's totally true. All right. So I was hoping to kind of get your guys' feelings on that. I apologize to our listeners. I apologize to our viewers. My voice is on its last little leg here. I'm going to try to stick it out for the rest of the next hour. I'm probably going to have to keep my input to a minimum if I'm going to have a voice at all for the next week. So we're going to take a break. I'm going to play, I'll play us a song, and then we'll come back to the second half of the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I just opened the wrong app to do that. There we go.
I want to shout out.
Please.
I just want to say thank you to my friends in Vietnam who are listening to the show. It means a lot to me. I know that you can't.
To me too.
I know that you can't understand a lot of what's being said because Mike's always hiding behind his microphone and you can't really see his mouth moving. But maybe that doesn't matter if there's a language barrier. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching the show.
And I'm only hiding behind the microphone because I have to get so close so I don't have to yell. I promise it'll be better next week. All right. This
He's
is
a
the
liar.
Silver Happy Hour radio broadcast. We'll be back in a few minutes. Enjoy the music.
Truth, swallow hard and spit it out. Fear that the truth is getting loud. When I do what I've been told, and I give my heart and soul. Leave, I hope to see you all again. Sleep, shoot the stars and scorpions. And I know what we've been told, but the truth came out. What are you waiting for? Please forgive me when I say, what are you waiting for? Some have fallen, others broken. No one sees this, no one cares. What are you waiting for?
Welcome back to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am still your host, even though I might sound a little bit different. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being with us. We've been talking to you for the last hour about straight edge, the straight edge scene from the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. The naughties is kind of, I think, what they call it in the UK. And I thought it was a great conversation, and I think it's interesting that our perspective, Robinson, yours and mine, is a little bit different than Chaz's, because Chaz, correct me if I'm wrong, you grew up here, right,
Yes.
in the Valley of the Sun, in Metro Phoenix, Arizona, if you will.
Correct.
That being said, was the hardcore straight edge scene a big thing out here? Because we're about the same age, you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a big thing when you were in high school?
No. I
No.
mean, we probably had a couple kids who were straight edge, but it was big for like maybe a couple months.
Really?
I mean, it just did not take hold here. Or at least not at my high school.
So almost something that came in as a fad and then died
More or
out
less.
quickly. Huh. I mean, that's very interesting because, I mean,
That's why my opinion on it isn't all that, complex or anything. It's just my exposure to it out here was kind of like okay, yeah, that guy, he was punk for a little while, and now he's straight edge, and he was really hardcore into not doing drugs, and now he's really hardcore into doing drugs. So it was kind of like that kind of thing.
Huh. That's so interesting because geographically, Phoenix and Orange County, you're not that far apart.
But they're like sister cities in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Rich.
Culturally,
rich and stupid.
That's true. Well, not Orange County. Orange County is very conservative. Very, very right wing. Very, upper middle class, and I would say that definitely fits the mold of most of the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley kind of vibe. So,
according to a recent survey, Scottsdale is number 3 in the United States for the sexiest men in the country.
You are welcome.
And Oakland is number 3 for the ugliest women.
I lived there for a few years.
I'll see if I can find that survey and send it.
Say you're welcome. Yes, and a lot of Scottsdale men, they find it necessary to pose for photographs making a duck face.
That in New Jersey, that's also very popular in Vietnam, and it drives me fucking crazy.
Huh. I wonder who started
except
it.
They don't know how to do a duck face, so they just they make a bloated fish face. Looks like this.
Oh.
Lovely.
It's like they're trying to look ugly,
On purpose.
On purpose.
Well, it's like in Japan, the hairy leg stockings that women wear so that men don't harass them.
Ward off creepers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you look like you got big, bushy, hairy legs. Oh, well.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
so
Japan.
You are still listening to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast, coming to you live on YouTube.com, streaming to you via podcast all around the world. You can find us on iTunes. Please, if you are going to find us on iTunes or a podcast, take 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, and subscribe and rate and review if you have an extra minute, and find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, find us wherever you can find us, soberhappyhour.com. soberhappyhour@gmail.com if you want to shoot us an email, which is where I got a little bit of feedback about our first celebrity addiction episode that we did a number of months ago. And with some of the celebrity addiction stuff in the news, and also the, what was it, 20th anniversary of Kurt Cobain's death. Was that this year? Last year? I don't remember. There's something about there was something about Kurt Cobain in the news recently that kind of made me think of the show for a little while because of all of his up and down issues with drugs, and so I wanted to do another celebrity drug and alcohol recap, and I took some notes. I will pull up those notes here. Give me just one moment. Ooh, what was that? Ding. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. All right, here we go. Ah, shit. Perfect. All right, so something that I saw in the news very recently. There was a so I find it interesting. So when we talk about celebrities, what are some celebrity categories, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm.
What are some celebrity categories?
Sports, actors,
rock stars,
politicians, little political types,
Yeah.
like newscasters, kind of like, you know.
DJs,
Yeah.
Sure.
and MySpace celebrities.
All right. YouTube
Yes.
celebrities.
Online
like
celebrities.
PewDiePie.
Yeah, that one.
How about people that are famous just for being famous? Like Paris Hilton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or Kim Kardashian. Famous for being famous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what about that train wreck of a chick that made her on her homemade porno video from the Teen Mom show? Her name
That'd
was...
be an internet celebrity.
Yeah, it was a TV show. So maybe reality TV star. There you go. That would be another category.
I think
Have they really?
Mia or Mia
I mean,
Tia?
I think they've kind of melded it at this point. I don't think there's any more difference between reality TV and just regular TV.
That's true, but I wouldn't consider them an internet celebrity.
Oh, is it on TV?
Right, yeah. Teen Mom.
Yeah, you have to realize I don't watch that crap anymore. So
Anymore.
all I have is the internet.
I haven't owned a TV myself in many years, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So I'll give you a little hint. There is a thing called a television on which they play...
Is that what TV stands for?
That's right.
Television?
Talkies.
Now
Talkies on the TV.
My television only plays Netflix.
Well, so these reality TV shows, it's not like the original reality TV show was like Cops, right?
The Real World.
You would Cops came way before the Real World. And
yeah, it did.
You would send police with a cameraman, and they'd go bust people, and bad boys, what you gonna do? And you'd get to see the cops interacting with real people, right? That was the first...
Just like we do now.
And it wasn't staged, yeah.
Right, but that was not scripted or staged. Fast forward...
Just like now.
Fast forward 10 or 15 years, and there's a bitch named Benham Murray. I think it's Mary... I don't remember her first name. Or it might be a dude.
Mary Bonham Carter?
No, it was...
Yeah.
It might have been two people, but it's like Benham Murray who created the Real World. And the first few seasons of the Real World weren't necessarily scripted, but they were incredibly edited. So they would be edited in a way to make them seem a lot more exciting than they really were. And then that show became more and more scripted, more and more staged. And then your real reality TV started rolling out. The American Idol, The Apprentice, what was the one where they put them on an island?
Survivor.
Survivor.
It's still on.
Now everything is a reality TV show, whether it's a cooking show or where you watch some asshole with spiky hair drive around in an old Cadillac going from diner to eat awful food, or you follow around a 16-year-old chick that happened to get pregnant and follow her around as she goes through her life being pregnant and then finally having this child and all of the trials and tribulations that come not just with being a teen mother, but now a celebrity teen mother. What could possibly go wrong? You had a kid when
She
you were...
didn't happen to name her child Truman, did she?
No, but that's a good one. That would be a good one. So
Oh God.
they find these chicks in high school. They're pregnant. They're usually white trash. They put them on television. Then they have the baby. You think that's where the story is going to end because the original name of the show was 16 and Pregnant. But then they come up with a new show, and the new show is called Teen Mom. And now they're following that same group of girls around with cameras documenting their life as, in 99% of these cases, single mothers of young children who have no future. I mean, I hate to say it, but the only thing that's keeping them afloat is either their parents or the money that they're getting paid by MTV to do this show.
Do you think they're getting paid much for their show, or
I heard,
is
yeah.
MTV reaming them?
I think they're getting paid pretty damn well. I mean, one of the highest paid television shows on TV for a period of time was the Osbournes for the Osbournes reality show. They were getting
But they
paid
were already celebrities.
To be fair to the other, unwed young mothers out there who do not have their own reality TV show and do not have that kind of income coming in. I would say that these girls have it quite. They're now much better off.
Absolutely.
Than the many others who don't have that kind of spotlight on them.
I completely agree with you. I think that just the pressures of celebrity has driven some of these girls that were on this program to the brink of and sometimes deeply into insanity. Because if the general public doesn't approve of their lifestyle or the way that they're raising their kid or something that they did that was taken out of context and edited for the television program, they've received death threats and stalkers and all kinds of really crazy fucked up shit because they were a celebrity on television. One girl, very famously, was addicted to heroin. Her boyfriend at the time, not baby's daddy, but a new boyfriend who just wanted to be on TV, was not giving her heroin, like, here, have some heroin, but actually injecting her with heroin for her, like giving her the doses of heroin. And this was happening on camera, the little baby daughter in the next room, and she gets her kid taken away. She spirals into self-destruction, tries to kill herself, and this is all being broadcast to the world on this television program. Just nothing off limits to MTV. Hey, let's make sure we show close-up picture of the fucking rope burn around her neck from where she tried to hang herself when she gets out of the booby hatch.
It's fucking exploitative,
Oh,
is what it is.
absolutely. So a lot of these girls on this show end up all messed up, on drugs, kids getting taken away from them very publicly, very violently, very just sad existence. And one chick in particular who is more addicted to the celebrity side of it than any of the others that I've witnessed, decided she was going to leak a sex tape. I say leak with quotes because it wasn't a leak. It was a planned, staged sex tape with a professional male porn star, and they tried to film it like, handheld camera style so it would look like it was a real homemade sex tape, just for the exposure, just for the money, just because she was starting to become irrelevant, and now she's totally relevant again because this homemade sex tape comes out of one of the teen moms. And this chick is just a hot mess. And her daughter is going to be so fucked up by all of this. Like, I can only imagine. But I don't exactly know why we got off on this tangent. But we were talking about the different kinds of celebrities.
Celebrities, yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think the reality TV celebrities, they may be the saddest bunch out of all of them.
They are manufactured celebrities. They're not. I don't think they are
Yes.
celebrities.
Yeah.
Well, also, their lives are probably manufactured as well, considering the wonders you can do with editing. You can edit out
Okay.
all the good parts of their lives and
When-
just keep all the bad.
Totally.
When somebody wins a Nobel Prize, we celebrate them. That makes them a celebratee or a celebrity. So a true celebrity is being celebrated for their accomplishments.
Right.
Some stupid hack, junkie teenage hooker who gets pregnant, there's nothing to celebrate. She's not a celebrity. She's just a fucking whore and a junkie that we're laughing at.
Yep.
So
Or
I
some
definitely
chick-
wouldn't call them a celebrity.
a chick with a wealthy family who happens to have a nice pair of tits and a big ass,
Yeah.
who is considered one of the most powerful women in Hollywood.
Oh my God.
It's insane, right? Like is that the country? Is that the country that we live in now? Jesus. Yeah, it is.
Not the country that I live in.
Welcome to America.
No. No.
So there's a basketball player. Name is Ty Lawson, Tylawson, plays for the Houston Rockets. Has been charged with 2 DUIs so far this year, 2015. Was sentenced to not jail, not prison, not like what most people would be sentenced to, but because he is a famous rich celebrity, a 30-day stint in rehab in Malibu, to which he is quoted as saying that it was an eye-opening but not entirely necessary 30-day treatment program for him after 3 DUIs. And will he lose his NBA contract? Probably not, because he went to treatment. And that's okay. But for somebody to get busted 3 times for DUI, not to mention, you're a gazillionaire. You can afford an Uber. You could afford a driver and a limousine. At the very least, you could afford a Lyft car, So, but for him to publicly say, instead of just owning it like some celebrities do and saying, you know what, I'm fucked up, I'm going into rehab, Best decision I ever made. I'm gonna clean up my life and clean up my act. It was an eye-opening experience, but not entirely necessary. Come on, man. John Stamos. Everybody knows who that is, right?
Yeah. What's he in the news for?
Do you remember what he was famous for, Chaz? He was Uncle Jesse on Full House. John Stamos, man. Uncle Jesse with the hair.
Yeah, Full House with the girl that was ended up being twins that we
Yeah, the
never-
crackhead twins. The Olsen twins.
Olsen twins.
Worth $1 billion.
I wish one of them would die so that I could stop having to guess which one it is. Anyway,
Oh my goodness. So, he was charged recently with DUI, but not for drinking. He was charged for being under the influence of, get this, GHB, which is a pretty gnarly...
Someone
Holy
slipped.
shit. No.
So, yeah, busted for DUI under the influence of GHB. And do you want to know what his excuse was?
Someone slipped it in my drink.
Nope. He has been... Go ahead, Robinson. What's your guess?
Well, no, wait. I'm assuming that he took it himself.
I assume so.
I wouldn't assume that somebody slipped it to him. That's something you only slip girls. Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is a wild guess.
But
out
wait.
here, yeah.
I'm just saying whoa, because that's like heavy substance stuff, and he should have been arrested and not just cited with a DUI. But anyway, what was his excuse? I'm curious.
He was using GHB as a fitness supplement. Sorry,
What?
officer. A fitness supplement. He was using it
fitness-
to get in shape at the gym.
Okay, that makes absolutely no sense. Is that what it's like sold for, or is that like a real thing?
I don't think so. GHB. What is GHB?
Fuck, it's
I
just
thought
It's like
it
a
was like a
date rape
tranquilizer.
drug or
It's
something.
like a tranquilizer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We'll find out right now. What is...
But it is a hormone.
I don't know. I think you might be thinking of HGH, human growth hormone.
Oh my god.
So GHB, gamma hydroxybutyrate. GHB is a
Central nervous system depressant.
Yep. Club drug. Date rape drug.
Date rape drug. Yep.
Nice.
It's used to treat conditions such as insomnia, clinical depression, narcolepsy, and alcoholism, and to improve athletic performance.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew that
So
it
says
was.
Wikipedia.
I knew that it was used to treat narcolepsy.
So it is odorless, colorless. It may be combined with alcohol and given to unsuspecting victims prior to sexual assaults.
And it's slightly salty.
And soapy.
So if you add it to a fruity drink, it won't be detected.
So he may well have been using it to improve athletic performance.
I guess.
Oh, that's boring.
It's been used by bodybuilders for muscle building and reducing fat.
Interesting.
It is a Schedule 1
Oh, yeah.
controlled substance in California.
Oh, yeah.
Or no, is that Canada? Yeah.
CA?
U.S. U.S. Schedule 1
California.
and 3.
Yep. So maybe he just has a really fucking stupid personal trainer
Oh, shit.
who was like, hey, man, hey, John, you should take some GHB, bro. Like, it'll get you totally ripped. So he takes it, and he's like, I don't want to fucking work out anymore, dude. I just want to chill. And his trainer's like,
I want to go for a drive.
all right, let's go back to my place. We'll, like, watch Netflix and chill. And his trainer's like, no, man. I'm straight. Because apparently Netflix and chill is now
Mm-hmm.
what the young kids are saying, texting to each other
Mm-hmm.
as a code for come over and have sex. Netflix and chill. I just
Leopard?
learned that.
Yep. It's
All
been
right.
around for like a couple months.
Couple months.
Yeah. It's been a thing.
Lepric? What?
Who?
What is it?
Netflix and chill.
Oh,
In other words, hey,
Netflix.
come over and
Yes.
we'll watch
Robinson.
Netflix and chill.
There is a thing called the internet.
Yeah. You're too close to the microphone, and I can't understand a lot of stuff.
I can't speak any louder. That's why I'm
No,
very
I don't
close
want you
to
to
the
get
microphone.
louder. I want you to be clearer.
I can't help it.
Well, when Chaz spoke, I understood him perfectly.
Yes, because Chaz isn't losing his voice.
Netflix and chill.
Thanks for giving a shit about my well-being. Selfish
Gentlemen.
bastard.
Gentlemen.
All right. So
Thank you.
I will kill you, bitch.
I have already killed you.
Cut you.
I'm going to turn my high tones up a little bit. All right. Maybe that sounds a little bit better.
You should turn your low tones down.
Ooh, yeah. But then I won't have the Barry White anymore.
You've already got the Barry White. You need to kill some Barry White.
I'm gonna murder a bitch. All right. This one's kind of ridiculous. But so there's a ridiculous band. I can't even call them a band. They're just ridiculous. Known as the Insane Clown Posse. Are you familiar?
ICP.
Yeah.
Yes, ICP. And apparently this asshole's actual name is Shaggy 2 Dope with the number 2. Shaggy 2 Dope is his name. Is, I guess, his clown posse name. And they had to literally cancel their entire tour because of travel restrictions put on him due to his probation because of a 2012 conviction for DUI. I find that to be amazing. That here is a quasi-celebrity, he is a band that sells out, amphitheaters. Insane Clown Posse wants to go on a nationwide or world tour, and Shaggy 2 Dope, whatever member of the band he is, can't go because of restrictions put on him for probation reasons for his DUI. They have to cancel their whole tour. That's amazing to me.
Okay.
Had they been touring prior to that?
I don't know when the last time they toured was. But
Well, I mean, it was kind of like, that's kind of stupid to make the whole tour plans and everything else. And oh wait, yeah, I can't do it. I'll violate probation or parole or whatever.
something tells me that
That's kind of stupid.
they probably planned the whole tour not thinking that there would be any problem. And then when they were about to pull the trigger on this tour, realized, oh, our lead singer can't go. Shit. And the fact that they couldn't use their celebrity status to get out of that, I think is actually pretty remarkable, because you would assume that the record label might get involved, or their agent or manager or somebody could grease the wheels somewhere to get them to let up a little bit, reduce the travel restrictions, extend the length of the probation or something, but they said, nope, no tour for you.
They could have just found another band member.
Nobody would have known the difference.
Nope.
Yeah, here, put on this mask.
Yeah, and we'll just have you lip sync like Britney Spears. But if you're wearing a mask, I guess you don't even really have to lip sync. You just move your head
That
around.
Slipknot.
You just move your head around a little. bob it with the music. People think you're singing. It's great. Do you think they actually hold microphones up to their face?
I don't know. I've never seen IPS.
IPS. ICP.
ICP. Whatever. IPS, ICP.
IPS. I think that's a bowel syndrome.
PBS.
I thought it was like internet proxy service.
NPR. What do they call it? I don't know.
ICUP. All right. There's
It's the beer talking.
all right. So apparently there were some super hot chicks back a few years ago who were twin sisters that were on Playboy together. Twin playmates. The Shannon twins. So Christina Shannon, twin playmate with sister Carissa, almost killed herself and her twin sister when she rolled her SUV, a Mercedes G-Wagon, by the way, in Beverly Hills. So just being hot, having big tits, and taking your clothes off, apparently enough to live in Beverly Hills and drive a G-Wagon. That's pretty remarkable.
She may have lived there already.
That's very possible. Got like a sugar daddy. You're right over there?
Yeah, sorry, just had to
So,
cough.
cited for DUI while still in her hospital gown in the hospital. On their way, the two twins were driving down, I think, Pacific Coast Highway, flip the car, have to use the jaws of life to get one of them out. Nearly almost kill themselves, driving drunk. Where were they headed? Any guesses?
No.
Come on,
Orange
just
County?
take a fucking guess.
To a party. To
Okay, to a party. That's a good guess. Where were they headed, Chaz?
No idea.
Jesus, you are no good.
Playboy
at
Mansion.
Playboy Mansion. Ooh, even better guess. To pick up Chinese food, like nothing, Chaz? You don't got nothing? You can't even make a guess?
No. No.
Spend more time uncomfortably laughing than just making up a stupid guess. You're not going to get off.
Actually, I'm drawing a blank. I'm thinking
All right, fine.
drugstore,
Fuck you.
rehab,
All right,
clinic,
there you go. There, see? That was
methadone.
hilarious. If they were headed to the methadone clinic, that would have been funny. I would have laughed. But they were headed to get their nipples pierced. So, get drunk, get into the G-Wagon. I'm going to drive and nearly kill myself and my twin sister. Jaws of life. Cited for DUI while still in the hospital.
Question.
Yeah.
Did they decide to get their nipples pierced before they got drunk? Or did they decide to get drunk before they got their nipples pierced?
Right, so like get drunk to reduce
Like,
the
let's
pain.
get our nipples pierced, but let's get drunk first so we don't have to feel it. Or
Right.
did they get drunk and say, let's go do something crazy? Let's get our nipples pierced. So,
I don't know, but
what's the-
it kind of makes me regret having gotten out of the body piercing business. Because chicks like that never came in to get their nipples pierced. Ever. It was always the BBWs who would come in to get their nipples pierced.
yeah.
So,
Oh my God. Bad memories. Okay, I'm having
I have
flashbacks. I gotta
very
get out
bad
of-
memories. Very bad memories. So apparently there was some douchebag named Greasy Bear. This was his nickname, Greasy Bear. Chaz, is somebody playing with a laser pointer or something with you? Are you gonna get it? You gonna catch it? You gonna get it? Get it! Chaz is falling asleep again.
What are you talking about?
Do you not watch him
Okay.
while you're doing the show?
Yeah.
I can't.
What?
His camera is frozen. I don't see it.
Oh, I see
Okay.
him, and he looked like he was like staring at a wall, like looking up and down,
I'm moving.
and it looked
I'm
like
seeing myself move.
he was looking at like a laser pointer, like chasing a laser pointer like a kitty cat.
Like that?
Yeah, just like that. Just like that. So that's what I thought of. I was playing with a laser pointer with one of my cats earlier. Kill me. Alright, Greasy Bear.
Wow, this is really good radio.
This is great radio.
Yeah, no shit. Just continue.
Yes. Well, if Chaz's answers to things wasn't just, I don't know. I got nothing. Greasy Bear was a guy named Brandon Davis. Apparently, heir to the Davis oil fortune. Something I'm not familiar with, but I guess Davis oil is a thing, and this guy is going to inherit all that money. And they call him Greasy Bear because apparently he's a greasy douchebag. Arrested in the hospital. Again, the cops in LA, man, they don't fuck around. If you get busted for DUI, even if you're all mangled in the hospital, they're still going to come and get you and put some handcuffs on you and read you the Miranda rights while you're still in that hospital gown, which is awesome. Arrested in the hospital for DUI.
That's part of the douchebag law. Anyway.
I think so. After he just demolished his brand new Mercedes-Benz with a former professional hockey player in the car with him named Mike Comrie, I guess is his name, Comrie. And he's been in trouble multiple times for cocaine possession, drug possession, been to rehab a couple of years ago, and now nearly kills an NHL star, a hockey player star, because he decided he was going to take him for a spin in his brand new Mercedes while completely drunk, and demolishes his brand new car. But I guess in Los Angeles, when you get busted for DUI, they don't wait for you to get out of the hospital first. They bust you for DUI while you are in a hospital gown, laying in a hospital bed, potentially hooked up to machines, not feeling very good, but throwing the book at you anyway. And I think, goddammit, that's how it should be. Even if you are heir to the Davis oil fortune. So,
yeah.
Do either of you know anything about? Do you know anything about Lamar Odom? We talked about him a few months ago.
He's dead?
Not dead.
No, he's not dead, but isn't he in a coma still?
I read something he had passed away.
Interesting. All right. So we talked about him a little bit a few months ago. Having a hard time, smoking crack, addicted to crack, married to one of the Kardashian sisters, decides to give up his career in the NBA to marry the Kardashian, got paid more money. Got paid more money to be on the reality TV show with the Kardashians than he was getting paid to be a starting forward for the Lakers, which is insane to me. Gave up his basketball career, started using drugs, got really messed up on drugs, apparently got a little bit better, then a little bit worse, then a little bit better, then a little bit worse, and then the Kardashian kicked him out, and then he's living with a buddy, starts using again, and apparently was at a brothel in Las Vegas using more drugs and overdoses somehow or another. Ends up in the hospital in a coma that lasted for a few days. The Kardashian comes to visit him. They're no longer together, but they're still legally married, so she apparently has control over his power of attorney or whatever, and if he had remained in the coma, she could have been the one to decide whether or not to pull the plug even, you know? It's kind of crazy. But he's in this coma, right? It's this big dramatic, he's about to die. He's on death's doorstep. And then
Yeah, I had read like several news things that said he was, Lamar Odom dead at
brain
age
dead. Right.
35.
And then like 3 days later, oh, he's leaving the hospital with Khloe Kardashian, like no big deal. So now there's a whole bunch of people who think, okay, Khloe Kardashian and Lamar Odom were starting to fade away from the public's thought process. They were no longer part of the news cycle, the celebrity news cycle. So we need to fabricate some story. Like he probably bumped his head and got a concussion and got sent to the hospital, and then they turned it into some big fabricated story about him overdosing and being in a coma, and he opened his eyes when Kim Kardashian came to visit him, and all this dramatic bullshit. And then 3 days later, he's walking out of this hospital, under his own power, and his legs underneath him, and leaves. But for about a week, that's all anybody would talk about. So the reason I bring it up, using drug addiction, relapse, overdose, drug abuse as a means for getting in the news, as a storyline, that really bothers me.
Hold on one second. Chaz,
Mm-hmm.
are you getting the
Yeah,
same lag that I'm getting?
a lot.
I like got every other word of that. I know it gets rendered out in the process once it hits YouTube live, but God,
So I was very choppy to you guys just now.
yeah,
You
we
you've
kept
been this
getting a
whole time.
yeah.
Oh, I wonder if it's because Chaz has
Like
two
right
of
now.
himself on.
Might no, that would just cause his internet to be slow.
Huh.
I turned off my speaker here. I mean,
Let me
there's
see
no
if
sound coming
there's
through here.
Let me see if there's anything I can do on my end to increase my bandwidth. Because you guys haven't been choppy to me at all.
Yeah, I'm wondering if something's going on with
My internet's.
your internet signal being slow or something.
Yeah, because Robinson, you haven't been cutting out or anything when you're talking.
And every once in a while, both of you will cut out to me when we're doing the show. It's only ever gotten really bad occasionally. Okay, well, I can't see anything out of the ordinary.
Okay,
Is
I'm
it
sure
any
it'll be
better?
fine. But I missed everything that you had mentioned.
That's all right. The question that I have is using an addiction, a drug or alcohol abuse situation that a celebrity or even a kind of celebrity is struggling with as a means for publicity, I find disgusting.
That is really cheap and bottom of the barrel, and it's like that journalist who tripped the guy trying to cross the border from Afghanistan just so that he would slow down and she could get better footage. It's just shitty journalism.
Yeah.
It's exploitative, and I do agree it's disgusting. I mean, really, the news in our country has become absolutely just revolting as of late. That's why I don't watch it.
I've never watched it. I've
Well,
avoided it.
and I think it is this whole number one, decades ago, you had the 6 o'clock and the 10 o'clock news. And that was it.
I can't hear a
Those,
word you're saying.
those were the times that you got the news. 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock. But now you have a dozen 24-hour news channels. You have a million 24-hour news websites. And so everything has to be turned into news. But at what point does somebody else's struggle
Becomes entertainment.
Right, but when is it something that should be private?
Yeah, news is not news when it's invasive in someone's personal life. Um, yeah.
Do
Uh,
you think
so making money. I think making money off of someone's addiction or downfall is not news. That's just
Exploitive.
exploitive and yeah.
do you think that celebrities have an opportunity to discuss drug and alcohol addiction publicly, and because they might be role models or because they are celebrities, there are people that have opinions about celebrities and politics. They think celebrities should just stay out of it. Stay out of politics, celebrities. Just be a celebrity. Be a movie star, but keep your political points of view to yourself. I don't know how I feel about that, but I think that,
Well, they do have a responsibility
yeah,
to the public. It's like in England, I don't know what the laws are now, but back in the 70s and 80s, they were not allowed to talk about drugs. They were not allowed to talk about any of their lifestyle activities that could possibly be a bad influence. And even in the U.S., it wasn't. There was no laws about it, but there were smart rock stars like David Lee Roth. He would never talk about drugs. He was known for being like the craziest fucking cokehead in the industry, but he would never talk about it in an interview and never talk about all the he fucked so many groupies. I think he holds the world record. But when somebody asked him, "Hey Dave, how does it feel to know you can have any girl you want?" And his response is, "Hey man, I can only have the ones that want me." He's just like, playing it down. And he's taking that responsibility to the public and leaving them with a good message.
yeah.
Yeah, he could have said, "Yeah, I love cocaine. Everybody should do it." But, that's just bad. It's just bad.
Well, and we now live in a society where it gets drilled into our heads. There's no such thing as bad publicity. And I don't agree with that. I think there's no such thing as bad publicity for business when you're a celebrity, because if your name is in the news, then you're on the front of people's minds, and there's proof. Somebody ODs on drugs, their album sales go up, right? A rapper goes to jail for beating up his girlfriend, his record sales go up. These are proven phenomena.
Yeah.
But even mass murderers, you take something like Sandy Hook elementary school shootings, you take something like the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting that left many, many, in both those cases, dozens of dead people. And there are some news outlets who will give you the shooter's name over and over and over
Yeah.
again and put his face up on the screen. Or when that Boston bomber kid was arrested and they put him on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
Make a
And
celebrity out of him.
right. And so we live in this culture of celebrity where you haven't made it unless you're famous.
Do we really, though? I
I feel
mean,
like
do we?
I
Is
feel
there a
like we do.
No, I mean, I think the reason a lot of this happens is so that, well, most of society is made up of us self-righteous bastards, and
Hmm.
we just love to parade people in front of us to make us feel better about ourselves by looking down on them. It's kind of sick.
But do you think that we are looking down on them?
Oh, absolutely. I think many people do.
But do
I
you think
listen,
there are people
I
who
hear people
don't
talk
look down on them?
I think there are a lot of people who look eye to eye with them.
And I think there are people who would look at somebody like the Boston Marathon bomber being put on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, who might be an impressionable, confused, young Muslim man, and think, I could do that. Absolutely.
Or the guy who killed what's his name? John Lennon.
Sure. What was his name?
The
I
guy,
don't remember his name.
the guy who tried to
Mm.
kill Jodie Foster.
No, he didn't try to kill Jodie Foster. He tried to kill Ronald Reagan for Jodie Foster.
That's
yeah,
right.
I think that's what it was. Just people trying to get their name in the paper. They want to become known for something. In fact, I always thought this was interesting. Elvis Presley told his bodyguard, his main bodyguard, that if anybody ever kills me, make sure that they're completely unrecognizable because I don't want anyone ever becoming famous by my death.
That's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to end the show
Yes,
with
it is.
a thank you.
It's that time, isn't it?
So I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the listener. I want to thank the viewer for sticking with us through a somewhat difficult episode of the Sober Happy Hour. I know that my energy was not what it normally is. I am not feeling great. My voice is not what it normally is. So I really do appreciate both Chaz and Robinson stepping up and helping us keep the show rolling. We will be back next week. Hopefully my voice will be back to normal, and I won't feel like I am 1,000 years old. And I think next week we'll also be able to have our interview with our very special guest, our very first legitimate rock star on the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. But we appreciate everything that you do for us.
You were going to mention his name at the end of the show.
Do you think I should?
Well, I think we should probably. You can use his other name.
I would say,
Kirk,
if you want to
Kirk
know,
Wagon. You know, Kirk Wagon is his anagrammic name.
all right, and we'll say the very famous band that he played in was
Yes.
considered one of the greatest guitar players of his era in his genre in the 80s and 90s. He played in a band called the Adolescents.
Yes, one of the first bands in the beginning of the whole Orange County punk rock movement.
Absolutely. So we are excited to have him on the show. There will be more details to come. Keep an eye on the website, the Facebook, the Twitter. Visit us, soberhappyhour.com, Sober Happy Hour on Facebook, at Sober Happy Hour on Twitter. Shoot us an email, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. And that's it, guys. That's the end of the show. So if you or yours is considering getting sober, I highly recommend it. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
See you
Good
next
night.
week. Have a good night, guys.
Adios.
Thank you. And good night, Vietnam.
Good night,
I mean,
Vietnam.
good day. Good afternoon, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam.
All right. Adios.